To have a successful business, it often feels like you have to sacrifice having a killer life. And most of the things that you spend your time doing throughout the day have nothing to do with why you started a business in the first place. I'm Abbie Nwaocha with Clutch Businesses. I work with passionate female entrepreneurs who are solving amazing problems in the world. I take them out of their operational abyss into a place where they have more free time and greater fulfillment in their lives. Welcome back to Totally Clutch. Today is a follow-up to our last episode. So last time we talked about our marketing content creation, and in the last 2 weeks, I've taken Abbie's 5-day course, and we're going to share the results with you today. So we've got Abbie back with us, and welcome back, Abbie.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, nice to be back.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
Hi.
And I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Abbie Nwaocha with Clutch Businesses. So last week, or not last week, but on our last episode, I had mentioned that the majority of our clients have they have an issue with getting their social media presence in line or their marketing content created in a way that is sustainable and effective for them. And so the course that you put together is so incredible for helping people with that. And that's actually, I found that it was so helpful. So should we talk first about the expectations that you have for people once they've created the course? So I've got, I think, a slide up here that shows kind of all of, what the 5-day breakout is. So, the course, and one, I think, important thing to note is that it's called the 5-day content creation course, but really it's 10 days. And this kind of circles back to what you were talking about last time of, you're not a robot. It's important to have some time. Yeah. So it's 10 days long, but it's only 5 days worth of work. So the first day, you've got people focused on creating social images. So these are things that you would put on Instagram or Facebook or even Twitter or any place like that, right?
Yes.
And then the second day, you've got people creating 2 blog posts. This is, people can use this obviously on their blog. They can, probably use this as articles to share with other people's blogs or to be a guest blogger somewhere.
Yes.
And then on day 3, you've got people creating 2 lead magnets. So these are things that people can use to build their subscriber list, their email subscriber list. Yes. And then on the 4th day, you've got it set up so that people are repurposing content they already created, which is awesome. Yeah. And then on the 5th day, then you've taken these 4 days and you've learned a lot from them, and so then you can turn that into a content plan that you can carry with you, for however long you need to.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So at the end of this, your hope is that people will have 10 pieces of content that they can use, or what would be appropriate for a month's worth of content.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And is the idea that people will each one of these days takes like an hour to 2 hours? So maybe at the end of the 5 days, they've invested maybe a day of time towards it.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah. My goal is that when you take this course, you don't have to, on the first day, you don't have to think of emails or blog posts. Just
Yeah.
social media only. Ignore the rest, and don't worry about getting the right size for Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or anything else. Just one size. Keep it simple. Don't worry about anything else. Just make
Yeah.
a very simple image. No matter how attractive your image is, there is gonna be somebody else in their feed that has a more attractive one anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Just make the
Right.
image and just
Yeah.
and spend as little time as possible while making the best image you can.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so and I have to say the way that this was laid out was really helpful. So, your hope is that people will have ten pieces of content at the end of this. And I, after day one, started getting a little nervous because it was hard to come up with those five social posts. I mean, they seem so basic, but your mind just isn't moving in that way when you're running a business, right? You're not
Yeah.
focused on creating artwork, and I mean, I guess depending on your business, you're not focused on that. But so it was hard for me to kind of to get moving in that way creatively. And so I got really nervous after day one, thinking there's no way that I'm going to be able to create these 10 pieces. But in the end, I ended up with 22 pieces of content that I could use. Yeah. Yeah. It was so awesome. And so it was good because that like got the juices flowing, right? Like it was an easy start. But it really helped with the days to come. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really smart the way that you had that laid out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about, so I said, I had 22 pieces of content at the end of this, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so I want to share kind of how I did that and walk through some of the content that I created. Because so for anybody listening, Abbie has not seen any of the stuff that I put
No, I
together.
have
So
not. I think for the first
yeah,
time now.
yeah. So she can provide some feedback live for us all and give the thumbs
All
up or
right.
the thumbs down, I guess. Um,
Let's see it.
yeah. Okay. So the bulk of what I did was based around these vlogs and interviews that I've been doing. So I think the information, from my standpoint, so I didn't do this for a client. I did it, I created content for my company, for my business.
Okay.
And so I feel like the information that we share in these interviews and these blogs and podcasts is so helpful, and it's super free. So I want to do everything that I can to share this with as many people as possible. And so all of the content that I created was heavily based around promoting these blogs or interviews, or providing more information so people can get more out of them. And so that's and at the end of the day, that made for a lot of content. So just having that anchor of this interview and the last interview and then the ones to come was really helpful to build from, I guess. So this is just a summary. I think it's pulled up on the screen, but this is just a summary of what I put together. So what I did here is, I've got this current interview, so the one that we're doing right now, and then the one that we did last week, and then I'm starting to get ready for the next one that we'll have in 2 weeks. So what I did is for the current one, so for today and last week, I did, for the social images, I was able to put together an event promotion. So a way to get people to watch it, or to make sure that they're tuning in. And then I did, based on our last conversation, I did a behind the scenes shot. So, I had my video set up and the lighting set up and all of that kind of stuff before we went live last time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I basically took the invitation that I made to everybody last time and asked them to join me for this, to do the 5-day course with me.
Yeah.
And so that way I was able to share your information and your website and all of that kind of stuff with my followers, in addition to, getting them on board and getting them already started with their content creation. So that was really great. And then I, along the same lines, or I guess keeping with the same theme of creating marketing content, I posed a question to the followers of if they're using a content creation platform, so a way to organize and pre-schedule all of their posts and things like that.
A question for engagement.
Yeah. Asking them if they're using one, and if they are, what one they are.
Yeah.
And then I took, so the newsletter that I send out, and I'll say newsletter, in air quotes, but the newsletter that I send out is really heavily based on when these, it only goes out every 2 weeks, and it's heavily based on these blogs or these interviews and things like that. So I took this as an opportunity to see if the followers from my social media accounts were also signed up for the newsletter, so that they were, so if they tuned in last week or, during our last conversation, I would make sure that they knew what we were doing, when we had the next one available for them, the follow-up available for them. So that was, so that was what I used for the social images. And one of the things that I want to make sure that I share is that I actually got an email from Canva, so I created all of these posts with Canva.
Can I interrupt here real quick?
Sure.
We were trying to show your slides, and so it would be a lot better description if we had those up on the screen.
Yeah, so I've got them. I'm in presentation mode.
Great. All good. Just use the share screen button at the bottom of your display.
Oh, that would be very helpful. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Anthony. Our secret, like the Wizard,
the wizard behind.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's see if this works. TechNote. Here we go.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Abbie, I'm just keeping you in the dark, Abbie.
It's my course, so I had a good idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, great. So over on the right is where I have the social posts that I created. And then okay, so what I was saying is I created all of these in Canva, and I actually got an email from Canva like the week I think that you and I talked first, and they created a new feature where if you're using Canva Pro, you can just click with the click of a button. So I went in, I used I think the Facebook template and created these ones, and then with the click of a button, once you've created that, you can resize you resize whatever you made for all of the platforms that you want to post to. And I think it's so rather than having to then make it in Facebook and then set up another template for Instagram and recreate it from scratch, you just I think it's in the upper left hand corner, you just click which ones you want it to resize for, and then you've got all of those posts already resized and ready to go. So it worked mostly. The challenge was that it definitely saved time, but the challenge is it didn't resize the actual content or the artwork.
Probably would not.
Yeah. So you've got the framework, and then I just started stretching things to fit to the screen. But it definitely did save time. It leaves a little bit to be desired, but it was a step in the right direction. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Great.
Yeah, I'm saying it's still easier than having to make each image separate precise in it. So
Totally.
it's still
Yeah.
glitchy, but it helped.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was, yeah, still needs a little tweaking, but it was good. Okay, and then let's see. So then the next thing I did was the blog post. And so I used for that just our two interviews. And I guess, well, actually, let me go back and just say that the social posts, that took me like an hour and a half to do those 5, but that included like thinking about what I wanted to do. And then this was the first time I was doing any of this, so I didn't have templates set up in Canva and all of that kind of stuff. So I was kind of creating everything from scratch. So, it took a little bit longer than, I think was ideal, but I think now that I've got all of that stuff set up, it'll be much faster next time.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then moving on to the blog post. So again, I used our 2 interviews and built out, a lot of content from there. So the interviews that we've been doing take in total about 4.5 hours. And that's, I know, but that includes, filming it and the prep beforehand and then the editing and all of that kind of stuff. And again, I think going forward, it would take much less time, but it's definitely a chunk of time. But again, I can build out all of this other content from there that it can be built out pretty quickly now that I've got this format in place.
Like a sort of system in place to help you for future content.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And then let's see. I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I'm including all of this stuff. Oh yeah. All of the kind of fun things that I found along the way. But yeah, I think that covers it for that. And then so the next thing I did was the lead magnets. Yeah. And this was actually really helpful for me. So I have included in this a lead magnet that I created a while ago that I use kind of as my main one, which is an audio training. And so that was something that I just, I didn't have to edit a whole lot because it was just audio. There was no video. And it was really easy to put together, and then just created some graphics and things like that to market it properly. So that was one that I had been using, but I actually really liked that having lead magnets included in this, because it got me thinking more and more about how to share more information regarding these interviews and blogs with people. So what I've got on here is, in preparation for my next interview, which is going to be on starting a business in a recession. I created just a PDF template, a PDF with 12 reasons why and some explanation around that we're not going to be talking. The guest that I have is somebody that is starting a business right now. So she's not going to be talking about necessarily all of these reasons. She's going to be talking about the reasons that are important for her. And so this then, this PDF allows me to share, here are all of the reasons that might resonate with you or benefit you specifically in starting a business, and people can download it, afterwards and have more information than even what we're sharing. So that was really awesome. And I'll probably start doing that now for everyone that I do, which is cool.
Can we see the PDF that
you're talking about? I don't know that I have a big one that we can see, but it's the
one on the side.
Yeah, the kind of the rainbowy one in the center.
Oh, down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
like
and
a blue
so
and orange gradient somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's really basic. It just, it just has the title, and then I have a second page that, obviously isn't visible on this because it's just a summary, but a second page that has a call to action that, so this relates. What I really like about this one actually is that we're going to be launching some courses down the road to help people get their business, like the back end of their business set up in, like a day. And so what I like about this is that the call to action then can be that, get on our waiting list and we'll let you know as soon as those courses are available. So as you start to think about what business you want to create, then, hopefully by the time that you've got that a concrete idea, then these courses will be available and you can save yourself like months worth of work. So what I like about it is that I can already see a repurposing for it. Yeah, it's really great. And so this was actually really cool. So I used a free resource to create this that is, let's see, Attract. Let me see if I can pull it up on this. Okay, we're having some tech challenges today. I am, at least.
Oh, there it is, Attract.
Yeah, so I use this. So this is a free tool, and it's through Growth Tools. But so this is one of their products, and what it allows you to do is it's got templates. All different types of templates. So you can create a resource guide, you can create a checklist, a case study, a how-to. And so it's your content, but it's in their template format, which is great. So it takes, if you know what you want it to say, it takes, 2 seconds to put that together and it looks really professional. You can, change some of the images and things like that to correlate more with your brand. So that was, I thought this was a great find, and it's free. All of these are free. Yeah.
Just found this now. I just knew of Canva and Beacon. I did not know of Attract until now. So, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. And I think the difference, so I was like, when I first found this, I was like, what's the difference between this and Canva? It's basically the same thing. But I think what I appreciated about Attract is that so Canva is design driven. So it's about creating, beautiful products to share with your clients and customers. And Attract, is trying to do the same thing. They've got clean designs and clean formats, but it's also sales driven, right? Or marketing driven. So I had originally created that checklist in Canva, and it was just a checklist. I didn't have I had one little logo, at the very bottom, but I didn't even have my website or any call to action on it. And so then I found this, and, it's got a huge call to action on the second page. And so I was like, oh, well, of course you would want that, because you want people to keep going. You don't want them to just get a checklist and think, oh, that would be really cool, but it's really cool and you should do it. Yeah. So that was awesome. I'm glad that I found that. And then let's see. Oh, and the audio training, I think I had mentioned, I just did that on my phone. So I had a little microphone that I plugged into my phone and just recorded that. And what's great about that is if you're starting out with those types of things, the audio version, doing video, it's a little bit harder to use scripts and things like that. And so I think it can feel a little bit more nerve-wracking because it's more off the cuff. But with audio, you can, it's just you and a microphone. And so you can read a script from start to finish and don't feel, totally on the spot in that way.
I found it. I found it.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so I have 2 lead magnets now that I feel really great about. And again, I can already see some repurposing opportunities with those. And I think, these took, and I think that, Abbie, you're going to think that I know that I spent way too much time on all of this, but I spent 3.5 hours doing these 2 lead magnets. But again, I hadn't done the PDF before. I had only done the audio. So I, was making templates and trying to find different resources and things like that. So again, I think it took a little bit longer this first time than it will going forward.
Yeah. I think the first time you create the stuff, you sort of making the template you would use going forward. So that might
Yeah.
take a while, but after you have this, anything else will take a very short time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I could see that it was just, I could see myself wasting time, but it was really just in that kind of prep. And I think, going forward, and I think this is why day 5 is so important with the,
Yes.
creating the content strategy,
Plan.
because I can just copy and paste this now for every month. And, then it's way faster to make all of this stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like hearing
Yeah.
that.
Totally. Yeah. It was, I was really happy with it. And then then repurposing, I think it was my favorite of
Yeah,
all
you
of
do
the
nothing.
days. It was so great. So it was so cool. One of the things that you have people do is to create a list of all of the content that they already have, which was so awesome to put together and see all of that. And then you get to get creative about how to reuse it and see it in different ways. And so that was awesome. I really, really liked it. And that was
Yeah,
actually where I
everyone
got
likes.
yeah, and that was where I got the bulk of my content. So, so far, we've only talked about what, eight, nine, 8 or 9 things that I put together. And so I'm showing again this summary where I took, so that checklist that I had created for this, for the next blog. And I took, so that was it's a checklist with 12 things on it. And so I took each of those lines or each of those, I guess, checkpoints and turned them into individual social images. So
Nice.
yeah, so I ended up with 12 more social images that I could post. I could do 12 days of posts, and what's awesome about that is that I can. So the checklist. Those that listen to our podcast or our blog, or find us on YouTube, they'll know about the checklist. But the people that are following on social media won't, and so this gives me a way to reach out to them as well as the people that that tuned in. So that was really cool.
I'm glad you like that. I mean, my favorite part
Yeah.
is also the repurposing, because I don't have to like think too much about anything. I just have to look for what I already have. If I have images, turn it into a blog post or a PDF. If I have a PDF, turn it into a blog post or an image. If I have a blog post, turn it into an image or or a PDF. Just sort of like circulating what I already have in creative ways without having to like sit down and create things from scratch, because creating content is a bit mentally exhausting sometimes. Just
Totally.
frustrating. But
Yeah.
it helps when you already have something. You just think of how can I post this again without it looking like repetitive.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then one other thing that I want to share is, so in terms of repurposing, excuse me, I found this other tool. So it's a little hard to see the address, the web address, but the product is called Designer, and they offer a free version which is not any different than Canva. But the paid version is really awesome. So what this does is, so it's a repurposing tool. And what it does is it takes all of your blogs, any videos that you've created, any social media posts that you've created over a period of time, and turns them into an ebook automatically for you. So you type in your, your web address or your blog address or your Facebook, you link it to your Facebook account, and it'll pull in any of the posts that you want it to, and then it automatically creates an ebook out of it. And so I thought this was really cool. Like for me, if I have a month where I'm focused on one topic, right? So marketing is the topic of this month, marketing content creation. And so I've obviously been creating a lot of content to support that and to share information about that with people. And so at the end of the month, I can take all of that and put it into a book format, and you can either sell that, or you can just make it available to your clients and followers. So I thought that was a really cool tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So let's see. So I think, for the repurposing, I spent like an hour and a half putting the audio, or sorry, not the audio, but doing the checklist, turning the checklist into those social images, and then working on that ebook. So I did make an ebook for myself, which, then again, I can use, as a lead magnet. So that's really cool. Yeah. And not too much time at all. And again, part of that was, like you were saying, just getting things set up.
Don't take so much time.
Yeah. So I think, overall, I think the theme is that I spent way too much time creating all of this stuff, but I do feel really strongly like I've got a solid foundation now that will allow me to just burn through things really quickly. Yeah. So I feel really good about that. So I think, I could cut that down pretty significantly, but I did spend like a day and a half creating, those 22 things, but I definitely think I can drop that down to a day, if not less, next time.
But for 20 pieces of content, typically on a normal time frame, it'll take you a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
But now you have a framework you can use, and you can cut that number down, and you have marketing assets that you can use over and over and over.
Yeah.
Plus, you have like a month worth of content anyway. So,
Yeah. And then the other thing too that I realized is that, because I hadn't been doing a lot of social media posting and things like that, it would have been really hard for me to buy templates, social media templates or lead magnet templates or things like that, or hire a designer to make those for me. But now that I've gone through the process, I think it would be really easy for me to find somebody to tailor some of those templates specific to my brand. Because I think one of the things that I realized is that I wasted a lot of time. I'm a bit of a perfectionist and not a designer. And so I was, fussing around trying to get all of these. I was using Canva templates, and I was fussing around trying to perfect them because, obviously my imagery is different than what the template had, or, the things that I wanted to say was a little bit different. And so I spent a lot of time just kind of like tweaking all of that stuff. Yeah. And so it would be really helpful, I think, now that I've gone through that, to either reach out to a designer to have something made specifically for me, now that I know what kind of things I want to be posting about, or I could spend a little bit of time and probably find some templates that work better than the ones that I was using. With that information at hand. But I wouldn't have been able, if I would have done that before I went through the process, I would have ended up in the same spot, right? Like tweaking and adjusting what they had put together. I would have spent too much money and too much time, to be in the same exact spot. So
if you actually follow through, because you'd have gotten frustrated halfway, and then you just go back to your normal cycle of procrastination, something very unsustainable. Create one day, take 10 days break, create again. You just go back into your past cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. I can absolutely see how that happens. And then let's see. The other thing. Oh yeah, I think that was really it. Those were the key takeaways for me, was that, it's going to take a little bit more time to get everything set up, to get your, familiar with your equipment, to get familiar with all of these different tools and things like that. But once you've got that established, I think it will be really quick and really efficient. And I think but I guess consider hiring a designer or finding templates that work a little bit better would be
Yeah,
probably
since
a good
you're
next step.
of customization and tweaking things. So for you,
Mhm.
you might want to hire someone or perhaps spend some more time. But for someone who doesn't quite need that perfectionism, they can just work with whatever they have.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, let's see. So I guess, overall, I'm really happy that I did it. It was, I think, more than anything, it felt like a cohesive, like I was creating a cohesive strategy, right? And I could really, I think for me, because I'm not marketing minded,
Mhm.
it feels like I'm just making posts, right? And I'm not, and I'm trying to engage people, but like I don't really get it. And so I think what this allowed me to do is to understand how all of it goes together. And
Yes.
yeah, and so it felt like an actual strategy and a very doable strategy that, I can invest a day, a month in, making sure that what I'm creating is seen and heard by people that
Yeah.
can really benefit from it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm so
Yeah.
happy you liked it. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. So I guess I'm curious, are these results similar to what you've seen other people have after they've gone through the course?
Yes, yes, yes. So most of them did not actually like tailor everything and sort of like customize it. They just tended to like follow the exact script word for word, like the part that says for your social media post, find the simplest template you can find and do that. So most of them just
Yeah,
kept it as simple as that without overthinking it, so that they could
sure.
spend the least amount of time and still have something to show for it. Yeah, and then when it comes to the blog posts, most of them tend to just stick to the listicles and the roundup contents where they don't really have to like really think of anything. You just find
Yeah.
what's already exists and then tweak it, and then boom, you've got two blog posts. So
Okay.
it's nice to know that you could customize this, tweak this instead of just following the script word for word. That you could
Mm-hmm.
tweak it, and you take a bit more time than you would have spent if you just followed the script word for word.
Yeah.
But even after customizing it, it's good to know that it saves you a lot more time than it would have if you had just gone in there like from scratch, no foundation, no background whatsoever. Like I'm gonna make a blog post right now. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
is there anything else that, I guess after, seeing other people go through the course and then seeing me go through the course, is there anything that you want to make sure that people walk away with, or other things that they can do to make it more manageable, or to make it more effective?
Yeah. So the thing is that when you are creating content, you tend to like create images, blog posts, videos all at once, all at the same time, and you're just like jumping around. So the idea
Hmm.
is that just in your head, just keep it specific to one thing at a time, one thing at a time. So like when you're in day one, you don't have to think of blog posts or republishing anything or PDF. Just think of your images or your videos for social media only. It's a lot easier for you to forget about everything else and stick to what's correctly in front of you, get that done, then jump to the next thing. It's just manageable, a lot more manageable than having to
Hmm.
tell yourself, okay, today I have to make images and a podcast and a PDF. You're like, I'm gonna start this. I get stuck here. Jump to the next type of content. That's so unsustainable. Eventually, you will get frustrated.
Hmm.
Eventually, it's just gonna go. You stop. Eventually, you would not have any system in place that will make it more sustainable for you, or a machine that people tend to want. So just take it step by step and start from the easiest thing possible. The image, the blog post, if that's easy for you, a PDF, but step by step from the simplest thing you can do to a more complicated one. And if you have so many ideas in your head and you're not sure, maybe you're like Angie and you want to be, you want to be a perfectionist. That's great. But if you have so many ideas in your head, don't start all of them at once. Just make a list of everything, of all the ideas you have, and then start from the simplest idea on that list. Finish that, go to the next one. Finish that, go to the next one. It's easy when you have like so many content ideas for blog posts, videos, and all of that. And then you start working on something that it loses its appeal. You start feeling like I could make something better than this. It should be prettier than this. It should be more in-depth than this. Then you pause that and jump to something else. You're chasing that perfectionism. Just finish one. Like, let's be honest, your perfect idea, as cool as it is in your head, it's helping nobody unless they see it out anyway. And the simple image, the simple PDF, the simple blog post that's already outside, profits and help your customer, your audience a lot more than that perfect idea you have in your head. So if you have the time like Angie to customize, go for it, but still keep it simple. Don't try to do all at the same time. Finish one, then go to the next thing. Angie did not jump into republishing until she had content to republish in the first place. No, she did the images first, then she did her PDF or her blog posts, then she jumped to the next one. She did not do them all at once. So don't do it all at once. Take your time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really helpful. I think, that's the way to do it. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, I really did, and I'm really excited to see now what kind of engagement I get through all of these posts and all of these different tools. So yeah, that's the next step, I guess.
Yeah. So now my question for you is this. So do you think after going through all of this and creating this the content you have, that you have let's say a system in place for creating consistent content? I mean, yes, it's not a machine, but you have a process in place like that you can use to create content over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that because I've got it all based around these interviews and blogs and podcasts, that so anytime I start preparing for those, I'll be able to just generate all of this at one time, right? So I think in my mind, I went into this thinking I'll have a marketing day and that I'll have to, dedicate to that or marketing time throughout the week, or, and really it just becomes, now that I know what things I want to be doing, it just becomes a part of already existing processes or already existing work that I'm doing. It's just, if anything, it's making that work that I was already doing more meaningful. And so it doesn't feel like it's adding a whole lot onto the top of what I'm already doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad. One of the parts I liked the most, I think, in the 5th day, when you're making the content plan, was you create that content plan around your available time, around what you already have. You don't have to I need 5 days or 5 hours to sit down to this. Like, whatever you have, if it's 1 hour a day, let's work with that. If it's 2 hours a day, let's work with that. So that was a key part for me. Like, incorporate what you can honestly do. The time you have, however limited it is, incorporate that, and be honest with yourself, so you don't get frustrated halfway. You're like, I'm doing too much. Do little, but do something that's meaningful.
Yeah, totally. Well, awesome. I'm so glad that I got to share this. I'm so glad that I got to go through it. Yeah, I'm really grateful. And I just thank you so much, Abbie, for being here today, for creating this. And be sure, anybody listening, be sure to check out the 5-day course. We did have the website up, but you can find it at forherempire.com. And please, if you do go through it, share your results with me and Abbie. We'd love to hear it. So yeah, cool. Well, thanks so much, Abbie. I appreciate it.
Thanks. I'm just really happy you liked the course and you found it very productive. So thank you.
Absolutely. Also. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thanks, Abbie.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh.